Am I the jerk? My wife has cheated on me multiple times, but I have chosen to forgive her. After many years together, my wife wants to leave. She doesn't love me anymore and wants a fresh start with someone else, someone she thinks will be a better husband. She wants me to move out of our house, the one we built together for over 10 years, which includes raising our 8-year-old child. We've been married 10 years and have a sweet, well-behaved 8-year-old daughter. Everything felt great. Good job. Happy family until I found out my wife was seeing someone else. I was struggling with depression for a while and couldn't give her the love and attention she needed. This made her feel lonely, and she found comfort with someone else. It hurt a lot to realize I wasn't enough, especially when I was trying to get better in therapy. When we finally talked things out, it was a big fight. I was crying in church when her calls kept coming in, like constant reminders of the broken trust. At first, she denied everything, but the evidence on her phone was clear. There was no way around the truth, and it felt like our chance to fix things together was gone. Then, she finally admitted she was wrong. She cried and promised to end the affair and work on our marriage. I wanted to believe her, but it's hard to trust someone who betrayed you. A few weeks later, I suspected she was still seeing him, and my phone check confirmed it. My hope for a happy marriage disappeared. I was angry and disappointed. I packed my bags, ready to leave, but when I confronted her, she fell apart, crying and even getting sick. Seeing her like that, I couldn't leave. I wish I had walked away angry instead of feeling sorry for her. Many sleepless nights later, I had a tough choice to make. Our 8-year-old daughter weighed heavily on my mind. Because of her, I decided to forgive my wife. It felt risky, but I hoped it would fix our broken marriage. It wasn't easy. I was still angry about the betrayal, which broke our trust, but seeing my innocent daughter caught in the middle made me sad. She deserved a happy home with loving parents, even if it meant I had to put my feelings aside for a while. Forgiving my wife doesn't mean I approve of what she did. It was a careful decision I made for our daughter's future. I know she hurt me, but I hope we can heal and make things better. The future is uncertain, and there could be problems we haven't thought of. But by forgiving her, I'm trying to make things work again. I really hope it's the right decision, and that our family can finally find peace and happiness. Things were getting better between me and my wife. I found out she'd been secretly talking to her old boyfriend, and it caused a... But we both wanted to fix our marriage, so we decided to try to trust each other again and fall back in love. One day I had to go on a work trip. I was supposed to be gone for a few days, but I finished my work early and came home sooner than planned. I was excited to surprise my wife and daughter. I imagined how happy they'd be to see me. I couldn't wait to be back home with my family. The house was creepy, quiet when I opened the door. No answer came back when I called for them. It felt weird, like a big empty hole open it up in my chest, making me gasp for air. Every unanswered call from my wife echoed in the emptiness, adding to the growing fear in my gut. Finally, I found her in the bedroom. What I saw wasn't just a betrayal, it was like everything broke apart. My wife, all tangled in the sheets with another man, looked up at me, surprised. But there was something else in her eyes too. Maybe defiance, maybe begging silently. That made me feel sick again. The air itself seemed to crackle with tension. Hot, raw anger exploded inside me, fighting against the crushing feeling of loss. Our whole life together, all the whispered promises, the shared laughter, it all felt like a cruel trick compared to this. I wanted to scream, to rage, but a lump of despair stuck in my throat, took away my voice. Right then, I was a mess of mixed up feelings, the burning pain of betrayal, the smothering weight of a broken heart, and the bitter taste of shame. It was like a scene from a terrible dream, a nightmare so real it felt like it would scar me forever. He stood up and left. I calmly walked towards her. She turned to look at me, and I saw the pain and guilt in her eyes. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "What happened?" I asked, my heart pounding. She took a deep breath and began to tell me the truth. It turned out that she had never stopped seeing her ex-lover. She had lied to me about cutting off contact with him, and they had been meeting in secret all along. I felt like 1,000 knives were piercing my heart. The pain was unbearable. All the trust and hope that we had worked so hard to rebuild had been shattered in an instant. I didn't know what to say or do. I just stood there, frozen in shock and disbelief. Finally, I turned and walked out of the room. I didn't know where I was going, but I needed to get away. I drove for hours, not knowing where I was going or what I was going to do. I felt lost and alone, and I didn't know how I was going to face my wife and daughter again. Eventually, I pulled over to the side of the road and got out of the car. I stood there for a long time, staring out at the horizon. I left home for a month to deal with the pain of my broken trust. Every day felt like forever, filled with the constant ache of being betrayed and the silence of my wife's unanswered calls. Nights were even harder. I kept thinking about the good times we had, and I felt so unsure about what to do next. It felt like I was suffocating. I went to places that reminded me of our happy times, but it only made me feel worse. Everything seemed dull and lifeless, just like I felt inside. I tried to forget the pain by drinking a lot, but it didn't help. In the middle of all this sadness, I never stopped loving my family. I kept seeing my wife and daughter's happy faces in my mind. All the good we'd been through together felt more important than the betrayal. Suddenly, I knew what I had to do. I had to go home. Not because I thought everything would be okay right away, but because I was determined to face the situation head on. As I pulled into the driveway, my stomach tightened up. Our house, once a place of comfort and laughter, now felt tense and scary. When I opened the door, I saw her. Her eyes showed all the confusion and worry she was feeling. She wanted to say something, maybe apologize, but neither of us spoke. But in that silence, I knew what I was going to do. I looked into her eyes and saw the fear and uncertainty. She was waiting for me to tell her that I was leaving her. But I didn't say anything. I just took her in my arms and held her. We stood there for a long time, holding each other. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew that I was going to face it with my wife by my side. That winter, I had to go on a business trip for 3 months. The biting cold of winter seemed to seep into my soul, making me miss my little family even more. Darkness enveloped the house when I returned, giving me a creepy, scared feeling. The scene before my eyes was like a reenactment of the horrific memory from that year. The haunting fear of my wife's betrayal came flooding back, making me panic and choke up. I called out to my wife and daughter, but there was no answer. The house was shrouded in darkness, eerily silent, with heavy steps that felt like they were carrying the weight of the world. I walked up the stairs. Taking a deep breath, I slowly opened the bedroom door, and the sight that greeted me made me choke up with emotion. My wife and daughter were sleeping soundly on the bed, their faces serene and peaceful. The soft glow of the nightlight added to the warm atmosphere of the room. The road to forgiveness is long and challenging, but it is possible. We are committed to making our marriage work, and we are confident that we can overcome this obstacle. We are stronger together, and we will get through this together. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.